All right. Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? I have no idea if people can hear me. Let's see. Let's try this from my phone. This is my first time doing this here. So let's see. Let's see. Uh, let's see. Twitch. All right. Let's see. Can anybody hear me? No, maybe, perhaps. No, maybe, perhaps. All right. I think this is working. Yeah, audio is working. I just confirmed. Just confirmed. All right, where does chat go? Oh, so chat shows up there and here, so I don't actually need this thing open. That's cool. All right, so two viewers. Who's here? Okay, I don't. Oh, hey, Ruben. All right. So, what am I doing? I am going to, this is my actually first time doing this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go pull up this gist that's, zoom in a little bit here. Um, so this gist, so I've been playing around in the Fediverse and really enjoying a great time learning about Mastodon and the Fediverse as a whole. And what I realized is that there's a need for some auto moderation, excuse me. So I've been working with a couple of admins, and I'll post this just in the chat so folks can read it at their leisure. Um, but oh, now it wants me to sign in, so I'm gonna just paste it over here where I'm already signed in. That was weird. All right. Um, so anyway, um, so I'm not going to be talking about the moderation today, but one of the things is in Mastodon and probably other Fediverse instance or server platforms, um, you don't get a list of hashtags until you observe them while you're receiving data. And one of the things I actually realized was that these hashtags are they have a tendency to not be accessible. So I'm going to go to this toot that I put together here that gained some popularity here. So basically, the I'm still trying to figure out how to make this look right. Okay. So basically, when people are using hashtags, I've noticed that they don't use like a camel casing, or as some people call it, like a Pascal case, which I also learned was kind of like the same thing. This really sucks for people with screen readers because imagine just having a string that, imagine having a string that reads like that, but actually looks like this. And this is a problem because screen readers like choke on this, from what I'm told. So this project, the TLDR is we're going to take a string like this, and we are going to do some predictions with ranking and convert it to this. So I hope that all makes sense. So that's what we're going to do. And the way we're going to do this, I actually spoke with my good buddy ChatGPT 3, and we actually together developed a way to solve this. And as funny as that sounds, it actually is exactly, just speaking to a few folks, how other people would do it as well. And I'll actually show you what that conversation looks like. It's actually kind of cool. Um, so, and it'll help us kind of like serve as a high level design document here. Um, pull it up. Okay. I feel like I'm doing okay for somebody who's never done this before. Uh, I just need to like probably get some of those hardware buttons so I know exactly, like I could just switch the stuff real quick. That'd be kind of cool, right? All right. Bear with me, folks. Really should have had that prepared. I think like a lot of the folks who do stream, they have an outline and they have everything ready to go as like different layers, or I guess is what they're called. I don't know, ready to go in the editor. Um, so let's see. Uh, yeah, this sucks. Okay, so I am having some difficulty finding it, even though I saw it like literally the other day. Um, so anyway, I'm gonna give it 10 seconds and go from there. Um, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, I'm looking at things from like weeks ago, and this was just this past week that I'm like looking for this file here. Um, all right, so I'm just gonna kind of give up, I guess, on this one here. Um, oh, I'm looking in the wrong app. Huh. I sent it to someone in Elements and on Matrix. I've kind of gotten all into this Fediverse thing. Um, really, really enjoying the whole thing here, and it's super cool. I love it. And you know what? This here it is. I found it. I found it. I found it. I found it. All right, so I have to just open it up here and save it here and documents and Twitch. Is the screen resolution okay? Can you all see what's going on here? Because I run this is a 4K monitor. Um, and anyway, so this is the output of a Chat GPT 3 thing, and what is this? Oh, funny enough, it's talking about accessibility here. All right, so basically, I worked with ChatGPT to like refine the steps that I'm taking, etc. And I'll post the link so this can be read. But the bottom line is, we're going to use the Google Ngram dataset, and we're going to use that and kind of like at first the naive approach is to like brute force. I don't know of another way to do it when you have a bunch of when you have like a bunch of characters because like I think in this one there's multiple words like the word came is in here, right? The word camel, the word case, uh, I think AL is also actually a word. So all you have but you also have the word he, you have the word hash, and you have the word tag, and the word has. So there's many possibilities here, and we have to kind of like rank them. And the good thing about let's see, Ruben saying in CJK languages, this is called word segmentation. Yes, I actually read a paper that talked about doing exactly that and how this is that tech is a precursor in order to do really anything with CJK languages. Um, and oh yes, in your Han Bao Bao. I hope I'm saying that right. Project that thing's got everything. I'm gonna have to take a look at that there. Surprised that it's in Java though, considering the one I know, the Han Bao Bao, is in C sharp. So Android app. Okay, weights the various probabilities of various words appearing based on only on their commonality and then finding the sentence which has the highest total commonality based on some of the words within. Yes, so that is exactly what I'm doing. So that's exactly what I'm doing here, and we're even catching some like corner cases here specific to English, uh, where we've got some, and it's really cool because I taught Chat GPT what I wanted to do. So I gave it some long ones and it broke it out into 1 grams and things like that. And it did a really, really good job, right? Like this long one, it did it like the first try over there. And then I tried to mess it up with some numbers and it beat me. And then I mixed some in between. So what I did here is I stylize this. There we go. I think this is bad. I think this resolution is just too large and you can only really see half the screen. Um, so what I did is I used like leet speak basically, and I used numbers to stylize letters. So it identified it there, and then what I said, I suggested to ChatGPT, should numbers be treated as delimiters, right? Kind of seeing if it would go off in the wrong place. Because when I say delimiter, I mean like if you have an underscore in between some characters there. Um, Oh, Madi Fetty Land price is lower. Yeah, no, sorry, man. No spam, please. Thank you. And it's modified land. You see, I have like, how do I do this? How do I kick somebody out here? I have no idea how to do this. Okay. Hey, Ruben, can you do me a favor and figure out? I just made you a moderator. Can you do me a favor and like figure out how to ban him, please, for me? I have no idea what I'm doing here. Um, so I tried to throw. I think I made you a moderator. Um, I think Ruben. Anyway, so I tried to throw it off. Should numbers be treated as delimiters? And the it really said, kind of depends on the use case of the algorithm. And so then it started telling me like, oh, maybe it may be more appropriate to treat the numbers as part of the words or something similar like that. For example, in technical documents, like in test case number 5, numbers may be part of a word, right? Just like this one here, which was test case number 5. Um, so then we go down and I'm like, what about test case number 5? Numbers are being used to replace or stylize letters. So then they say, you're correct. The numbers are stylized representation rather than delimiters. Common practice online communities like chat rooms, social media, games. Hey, the Fediverse, right? This is actually really on point and it's freakily scary. So in those cases, delimiters would not work well and produce incorrect output. So then it goes on to say, we could use a dictionary with stylized words and their corresponding words, like Leet Speak Dictionary, which could be used to do that, right? Um, so ChatGPT 3 actually suggested I should use Leet Speak as part of my approach here. Um, Also using things, and I'm skimming through this, using things like if there's an underscore between something, use that to hint that it's a new word. So that's a delimiter. Also, if there's an existing capital letter, then that would be treated as the beginning of a word, which also indicates the stop of the prior word, um, even if that's all lowercase behind it. So anyway, Chat GPT 3 and I were talking about it. And then I asked, how should the input carpet, CARPET, be interpreted? So they talk about multiple meanings, interpretations based on the context. Now, remember, I don't have context because I don't plan on scanning the toots at all. I don't want to do that, right? Because that would have to be opt-in on the Fediverse, because folks there are very, very sensitive to they own their data kind of a thing, even if they publish it publicly. The expectation is they published it for a certain purpose, and it being used for something else, even a good thing, needs to be opt-in by default versus opt-out, which many things are. So I go on to talk about carpet, right? And so I really don't have context here, right? So it went off on a tangent telling me about carpet and like all that, and I was like, no, in the context of the algorithm. So then it goes on to say, carpet's a valid word, etc. So how would we do it? So if it's carpet floor, it may have trouble identifying as concatenation of two valid words, carpet and floor. In this case, it would depend on the specific implementation of the algorithm, blah, blah, blah. There's really nothing there, right? So you might get car, pet, and floor as a trigram, or you might get a bigram of carpet and floor, which have two different meanings altogether. So I'm furthering and digging in deeper into this conversation with ChatGPT-3, and one approach is to use a language model which takes into account the context of the input of the text. Toots are out. We're not scanning those. So we have zero context except that. Um, The language model can assign probability scores to the different possible splits. Select the split with the highest probability score. Another approach, and this is the one that we're taking, is we're going to be using a bigram. We're going to be using a 1 gram, bigram, trigram. Wait, is it 1 gram a monogram? Maybe. 1 gram, bigram, trigram, 4 grams, 5 grams, right? So we're going to take those from the Google Ngram set data set that they offer, which has the year that it occurred. So and I'll show you what the data kind of looks like here. Let's see, do I have it here? So let me open up another one and let me make this a little bigger so everybody could see. All right, so if I go into Ngram, so I wrote some scripts that that bring them down a little bit at a time. So right now these are just like Ngrams of numbers. So let's just do head Google one fix. All right, so this is the first. This is really a horrible example. So let's actually just query for one. And I don't know if I can actually make this larger. Oh, yes, I can. Everything is an Electron app now. Yes. Okay, this isn't good. Yeah, I hate this. I really do hate that. So Docker decided to hate me. So anyway, so we'll just work with this right now. Let's do less. All right. So you have 4 columns. You have the Ngram, right? You have, so these are, this file here is 2 grams. So the first, first 1 gram is the literal 1, and the second one is plus 6.1. But then there's an underscore num. So these are like parts of speech and stuff like that. Some are labeled, some are not. So what happened? What happened? Oh, Docker. All right. So in this one, you have 1 as the first 1 gram. The second one is comma 45. In 1973, in the Google Books project that they were scanning, there was 1 match of this pair coming together, this tuple coming together, this bigram, one occurrence, and there is just 1 there. I'm not fully sure how volume relates. I think it's to the overall set, something like that, for that year or something. But if you go down, you'll see that if you go down, it's by year. So you then have some recency about it right there, which is pretty cool. So I plan to use this recency data, and numbers kind of like don't really matter for what we're doing here. But you know, I plan to use these frequencies. You see, as they go up in 1875, a 1 followed by a -6 happened more frequently in 1876 than it did in 1875, kind of a thing. So that's kind of the TLDR on Google Ngram site, and on the Google Ngram data set. Let's see if our Docker's up. No, it's gonna probably want me to terminate or something here. Oh, it's of course doing an update like always. So I have a bunch of these. I've imported all of the 1 grams already, and I was just starting on doing all the 2 grams here. And so these, download them because they're huge. Like this folder is 96 gigs, and this is just for the numbers. This is just for the numbers, for the 2 gram numbers. So it's pretty crazy. They have data going back to like 1500 to certain things. It's pretty awesome, right? When it's all said and done. So, all right. So that's kind of the rough idea that I explained here with the chat GPT stuff there. So I'm asking, like, if there's multiple solutions, use the 2, 3, 4, 5 gram N sets and the associated frequencies of the possible solutions to determine what the correct solution should be based on the corpus. And ChatGPT agrees and then suggests more, looking at the frequencies and then comparing them. And basically, we end up with like a rudimentary statistical model of probability that this is the right thing. And I think that the bias I'm going to introduce into the ranking algorithm is a bias of recency. So if you have, where's the one I started with here? Notepad. Camel case all the hashtags, right? So this is one, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a 5 gram, right? So the if this existed in only in the earlier, more recent times, like in 2007, because hashtags really became popular, I think, when Twitter hit the scene in around 2007, 2008, I think. And that's when they were really like popularized there. So I would bias that if we had multiple different options, um, let's see, if we had this and we had um, Al, and then we had this and this, right? So if we had multiple, so this is like more than a 5 gram here, which we don't have data for. Um, so this is a possibility, right? But the thinking here is that this has less incorrect words. Like if you check against, if you take the 1 grams and run it up against a dictionary, like a real English dictionary, you'll get a list of real words because the 1 grams, they contain more than just words, and they even contain spelling errors and things like that because books do have spelling errors in them. And plus, this was all done with OCR, so you get artifacts from that depending on the books and the scanning, and like if somebody touched, the glass or something. I don't know. I wasn't there, but this is a possible other solution that you have. So if this exists more recently in its exact form, then it would take precedence over this because this probably doesn't exist as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the first 5 gram, and then we have a second 5 gram here. So it, these probably don't exist. And if they do, they'll have much lower frequency because they kind of don't even make sense, right? Now, how do you scan for a 10 gram like this? I think this is 10. Well, so first you would scan 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that 5? Yeah. So this is the first 5 gram. So the next 5 gram would be comprised of the last gram of the prior 5 gram and the next four. So it would be this one, this one, this one. So that's 3, 4, 5. And we would look for this one. If there's no match, we would concatenate it and we'd rank it really low. So that way this entire possible solution would be ranked very low. And then we'd do it again. We'd do another 5 gram. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So that's the 5, but we need to go back one. So if we 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so we would start this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this would be 5 gram. And so this is the first one, the second one, and then we would shift it one and look for a 5 gram that looks like that. And that's how we would test for multiples because the order is important and the separation is important of the words, etc. Now, this is kind of a contrived example, but it's very possible that the algorithm could produce something like this. Um, so, and it's the same with like car and carpet and carpet, this confusing one. You don't really know, right? Um, because you just don't. You have no contextual data, so it's too probably it would probably result based on just frequency, because those are two modern words like that the recency bias that I'm talking about introducing into it, and from there, um, yeah, it would probably produce these two with both like an equal rank or something like that. And that's kind of the idea there. And then it generated like some Python code, which I didn't really go over. But then the really cool thing that I want to share with some of the folks, oh, and it's not captured here. I was dumping really large lists, um, of them, like hundreds of hashtags that came from my Mastodon instance, and they were just it was just winning. It was really doing a great job. All right, so let's talk about this implementation a little more. Do I have my Docker? Yes, I have my Docker, which means I have my Postgres. here. All right, so I loaded in. I'm not a Postgres expert. This is actually the first time I've ever used it. So I've set up some tables here. Um, and let's see, tables. So the 1 grams, there's like 133 million. I think it might be actually over a billion, but it's wicked fast because I used a hash index here because that's really all we need. But I'm gonna do some performance tests to see if um, if a B tree might work a little better. I don't know. I'm just not familiar. And then there's like this custom index stuff there. So select uh, star from n grams one, n grams one, where n-gram equals cat. And I think it takes a little bit like the first query because this is literally the first query to hit this. So this I'm gonna let that percolate for a second there over there. Now let's talk about some of this code um, while that's doing its thing. So the thinking here is I'm gonna use Orleans uh, to serve as a cache. So a guy that I'm working with, what he's done is he implemented this as an I always say it wrong, the Oho Corsic, kind of like a try there in the algorithm to search that. Um, so he implemented that way, and we're kind of having fun doing this together. And let's see, I of course cloned it into my Linux side, which is probably less than ideal. And so let's go command prompt, uh, repos, and let me get this repo. I guess I can get it from here. Uh, Sorry for this. I really should have figured this out beforehand, but you know what? This is how you learn, right? Under pressure sometimes. Um, all right, so repo view, of course, of course. All right, so let's see. We'll go to GitHub and we'll go to repos that I committed to. So this is actually going to be in global public square. For those that don't know, my Mastodon instance is called publicsquare.global. It's public, it's a general instance, and it's open to all as long as you follow the rules. Um, so, all right, so let me clone, uh, git clone, and all right. All right, so I've cloned it there. And so the idea here is that I'm going to have a grain that's an n-gram grain, and I'll show you what that looks like. By the way, I'm doing this in Orleans 7, and this is my first time using Orleans 7 for anything other than just playing around since the beta there. So we're going to learn how to read these docs together. But it should be okay since I like live in that Discord. It's my second home. Um, let's see, let's zoom in a little bit. All right, so the idea here is we have an n-gram grain and the ID is the n-gram. So that would mean that your ID could be this, it could be this, or any subset of anything in between. Um, and I'm not limiting it because it's just going to return a negative hit for now if it doesn't match, right? So what I'm doing is I'm splitting the n-gram up on the onActivate extinct. For those that don't know, this handles when the grain gets activated. I probably should have done a primer on Orleans, but I'm gonna do that later because this is I want to focus more on getting some stuff done on the project. So right now I just kind of hard coded some stuff, and don't worry, this is in that Docker container and it's all local. So um, yeah, so that's why that looks like that. And this will eventually get cleaned up and injected in through options and stuff like that and all that magic. Um, and I'm just kind of cheating just to get functional here. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at the ngrams array that I'm basically splitting up based on the space delimiter here. And from there, I'm determining that table name. So if this is like just a single word, for example, the length of that array will be 1. So the table that I need to go to is ngram underscores 1, which is exactly what we've got going on here. Wow, this query is going still. I think last time it took like 5 or 6 minutes um, for it to work. But then after that, they return like in like 10, 20 milliseconds. It's actually really cool. Um, all right. So basically just selecting one because I don't really need the data right now is just testing if it exists and limiting one because remember, I'm going to get multiple records that are coming from um, the data store there. All right. So getting that, I'm using the grains key, the primary key string, because that's our ngram is our grain key for this ngram grain type. And then I've got this exist method here. And I wrote this really late last night, so I was like half asleep. I actually fell asleep with my laptop on top of me. And I woke up to like the heating. It was really cold, so I was like, okay, but it was like, why is my chest hotter than the rest of me? It was because my laptop fan was like sitting on me. So anyway, so what we're going to do here is the idea is I'm going to use an async lazy uh, to load it once here. There's probably a better way, but in my tired brain, this made the most sense. Um, and anyway, so we're going to get that. We're going to basically say, did we get a record or not? So rows found. If we look at the async lazy, it's a Boolean. And this actually should be this here. So that's kind of the idea here. Um, so I'm welcome to feedback. I don't know everything, but this was kind of the idea here. Instead of using grain state for this, since this is really a read-only data store right now, this makes, I think, the most sense. So the naive approach that I had mentioned is we would come up with all of the possibilities of of how it could be broken down, and it's gonna kind of start like this. And I'm actually going to start from the right side going in. Oh, cool. Seems fine to you. Yeah, Ruben's the expert. He definitely is. So one of the things, and I think I actually got this from I think it was about like the CJK languages stuff, where starting from the left side instead of the right side because most words are wider than 2 characters. So it's kind of like a small optimization they were talking about in this paper I read. So like we're gonna have this, we're gonna check, oh, do we have a single word? So we would call basically ngram grain, and I'm just gonna like pseudocode this here. You know what? It's probably a better way to just do this. So add new item. Is that project? Nope. You might have SQL pool exhaustion issues with the way it's implemented though. Yeah, definitely, 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 definitely. I'm thinking of ways because the raw data dumps are humongous. I don't know what the final data set's going to be. And and so I'm thinking like a single database server is probably not the way to do it. And then I'm gonna have to have either some sort of partitioning, like table partitioning, or even multiple Postgres instances with many read replicas and stuff like that, and kind of go that way. I don't know. I'm not a Postgres expert. This is just like a naive, hey, let's test this logic first right now. Um, and I imagine there's some connection pooling going on like on the client side, but there's also things like PG Bouncer that I learned about. That's pretty cool. But there's literally like the database call, and there's no processing in between like you have in like Mastodon, for example, where you can have 100 max limit on your Postgres instance, and your queues that are doing work, they're doing things like FFmpeg, transcoding video and resizing images in between doing writes to the database. So like you can get so much more done with less connections. But this is really just pure reading. So yeah, probably connection pool exhaustions there. All right, so let's see how is okay. So I wasn't clicking on that. So I'm gonna click add new project, and for now I'm just gonna do a console app. If this guy ever decides to load. Meanwhile, let's check on our Postgres. Okay, so 7 minutes. I'm gonna stop this guy. So that counter stopped. That's like kind of weird. And this guy's kind of frozen here. So anyway, I'm gonna do project type, console. Yeah, so console. We're gonna drop you in the source folder, and we're gonna do hashtag. I can't spell accessibility either, and you can't name it console. So this is gonna be test harness. Sure, why not, right? Um, Framework 7. All right. Do not use top level statements. No, we always want to use top level statements now, right? Because if we don't, I don't know, David Fowler's going to come after us and say, why aren't you using them or something? All right. So now I'm going to go back to, so now I don't remember what the new syntax is, that what I have to do. I know I'm going to cheat and use what do you call it? There's a sample project. So learn.orleans, what was it? Learn.microsoft.com. And we're going to go here and we're going to do Orleans, I think. .NET Orleans. Yeah, and it's in the what's new. So you click here to get your menu, and you kind of look over here, and this is like what I've been using. It's been super helpful. I stopped reading right before serialization because I needed to understand what was happening there. There's a repo somewhere. I don't know. I know I mentioned it in the Orleans Discord in general, so I'm just going to pull the link from there. Let's pull that link. So it was in the general. By the way, if you don't know, there's a great Discord. It's one of the friendliest open source communities I've ever had the pleasure of being a part of. And I think it's aka.ms/Orleans, if I'm not mistaken. Ruben, feel free to drop a link to our other viewer here if you are so inclined. And here we go. I found the link. So this is one of those courses from Microsoft Learn. I encourage everybody to do it, and please give feedback. All right, so I'm going to jump ahead to the sample app, and this is probably not going to give me what I'm looking for because there's probably not a console app. So this is the silo that's being configured that we copied. Then they have some HTTP routes. So this is probably not going to give it to me. So I guess I'm on my own here. So first I've got to add my my nuggets, my nougats. Thank you, Ruben. And we're gonna do Orleans micro. I think it's Microsoft.Orleans. Did we change that? Yeah, we did. All right. So you just need client, I think, because I think there's like a yeah, because it sucks in the SDK. Um, Now I know like in the preview in the release candidates, it was a little tricky on like what was needed, but this is what's needed. For servers, you've got to use the server one. There's one called client and there's one called server, and this is not in alphabetical order, but it's in here. Trust me, it's there. So we're going to do that, and now I don't actually remember how to do this. So I'm going to consult back to these docs because so much changed in Orleans So I'm actually going to go to the samples. So there's some great samples, and I think it was David Pine who spent a lot of time bringing the samples up to date. And please correct me if I'm wrong, and if I'm missing somebody, I'm really, really sorry. Um, I just remember seeing a ton of PRs for the samples coming from David, who's really awesome at that stuff. Um, okay, this is in alphabetical order, but not what I'm looking for. So I guess Orleans. Okay, it's under .NET, and this is not what these are the trainings. Um, samples, code samples. Okay, overview. All right, hello world. So I configure the host, start the host. So this is for the host. Present service, bank account. Looking for the one that has the all right, I'm just gonna pick one that should have a individual client one. Um, maybe it's this one. All right, so hello green.cs. So all of these are backed by repos. So hello world CS. No, this is only in one here. There's only the one, and it's going to use the in cluster um, client stuff, Grain Factory. So I need to find. Hey Ruben, which one? GPS sample. Okay, good. You read my mind. GPS tracker. Okay, so fake device gateway, no service. Device gateway uses separate client. Fake device. Okay, perfect. That's what I'm looking for. See, yeah, there's David Pine right there. Evangelist. You should follow him also. Um, I believe he streams, I think. Okay, so we're gonna just take this because this is what I like forgot. And we're gonna put this off to the side here, and we're gonna put this guy off to the side, and we're gonna collapse that guy. And we're gonna just put that copy. We're going to put that there, and we're going to use localhost clustering, which is going to do all that magic for us. And we're going to add the stuff that we need. Cannot create iHost Builder. What am I missing? Probably everything. Cannot create instance after iHost Builder. Oh, where did that I come from? I guess, weird. Oh, okay. Yeah, so we need a dependency there. All right. So now we have this right here, and what we're going to do is we're going to, I'm looking actually on this other side here to see green. Do we still have to connect? I don't even remember. So I guess not, because like I guess that's what start async is doing, right? Console lifetime, so that way we can get the SIG terms and stuff. Here's our client. So yeah, we should just be able to host.services get Grain Factory. So we should just be able to do this, right? Ruben, we don't have to connect anymore, right? So we're gonna get a Grain Factory. And then our Grain Factory is, see, I'm looking on the other side here to see. It's weird that it doesn't like my entire 4K monitor. I guess because the size of the video is smaller, but I was hoping it would have like scaled it. So anyway, so factory, so Green Factory. Yeah, so this is now like familiar territory to me. So if we're gonna start with some input var input, and let's do an easy one. Let's just do a single one for right now, right? And yep, so Grain Factory, we're gonna do ngram grain. I think I still need to use grain with string key. The docs were kind of like a little weird on that one. on like what I was actually supposed to be doing there. Because it was talking about, I thought, I guess under the hood, all the new IDs are strings, like they kind of always were. But like you have a lot of, there's a lot of discussion here around like grain identities and like strongly typed and then like the compound ones and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, they're all strings anyway. And then it says the most commonly used grain interface is the iGrain with string key. So I guess this is just like for convenience. If you want that strongly typedness kind of a thing going on there, I don't know. But yeah, strings are better. Like for once, like strings are better. So I have my interface here, uh, which is here, and we're going to do a POCO grain, which and we implement the interface iGrain base, and we then inject the iGrain context and then set the grain.context to that. Um, I don't know if I did this right, but I think so, maybe. We're gonna find out real soon. So we have our grain thing. So we're gonna add a reference to our interfaces project, and we're going to specify our identifier here. So, oh, grain ID is new to me. All right, but I still have these overloads here. So I guess I could kind of use that. And maybe, let's see, new grain ID. Nope. New grain ID. Maybe it's a static deal. Yeah, grain ID. I think you can also like address them now. I don't know. Um, yeah, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Since everything's a string, and like for me, for this use case, a string makes the most sense, unless I'm like optimizing, which I'm not doing now, but like hashing and sending hashes if it's smaller than the strings or something like that. But I don't think that really matters right now, and it would add a ton of complexity here. So I'm not really sure what to do here. So I'm just gonna put the string here for right now. Um, so it's like grain ID. So previous versions of Orleans use a compound type for grain IDs to support grain IDs. Either, oh, for those watching at home, uh, Orleans 7 is like lots of breaking changes, and they changed the format of the team changed the format of the like underlying implementation of like the grain IDs is my understanding of it. Um, so I guess I could just pass a string, right? What's the harm in that? It compiles, so it works, right? All right, so now we've got our grain. So this is going to be our ngram grain. And we haven't actually done anything yet except get a pointer to, not really a pointer, but a reference to that grain type with that identifier, the grain ID. So now we're going to call exists. Var does ngram exist. And we're going to do console.writeLine. Let's see, ngram. So yeah, so our input dot split, and we're going to split it on that just like I did before, and we're going to do the string comparison. No, string content. Split options dot that, and then string split options. Just like we did elsewhere, like in the grain itself, we're going to trim the entries. So this is going to give us, if our input was apple with a space at the end, it'll just give us an array being apple. And if it was this, and we would just get two, it would strip out all these extra string spaces right here and just give us apple and cherry, two items there. And if the list is empty, we get an empty list here. Um, so grams, I'll just call that grams, right? And then, so we're going to say input um, has grams dot length grams, or is grams, and kind of thing. And so we'll just kind of like put that there. And let's actually go right here and put this right under input, since that's where it kind of makes the most sense, right? And then we'll just do our grain right here. And does ngram exist? So we've called it there, and we're going to send it to console write line. Input input was, and we're going to do something real ugly right here. Why is this not? Oh, I forgot my curly brace here. Input ngram was, so if it does exist, we're going to return found with the ternary operator there, and not found. I think I have to put that in like quotes or something. And does ngram exist? Why is that complaining? Oh, because I forgot my await. Yep, there we go. So this is kind of where we're at right now. So let's see, is my database working correctly? I have not tried this. Okay, so it did actually bring it over. So check this out, folks. So I just searched for cat here. So this took like 9 minutes to finish, right? So I'm gonna run it again, and look at that time. Of course, it's the same query. So let's do something else like dog. Hey, that's awesome, right? And apple, and let's do Orleans. Hey, look at that. So you see how we have multiple records? That's why in my query, I am only bringing back one for right now, right? Because I'm testing for existence. I'm not worried about these statistics later on. In another iteration, what I'm going to do is gather the statistics inside the grain, inside that ngram grain, so it's there and cached in memory, and go from there. Oops, let me close that. All right, so I do need to test my query. So my query in my grain is, so this is going to be replaced with the length, so this will be 1, and our parameterized one is going to be apple. Oh, I forgot to underscore and then the count. That's why we're doing that split in the ngrams. Okay, where ngrams 1. Oh, from ngrams 1, where ngram, that's why that was ngram, equals apple 1. So that returned in 78 milliseconds. That's pretty awesome, I think, right? For a set that is this huge. And just for like the context here, count rows. I don't know how long that's going to take to count the rows, but it will come back and tell us momentarily here. But there's a lot of rows in there. There might be a billion. Okay, so select one from ngrams underscore the length of the number of ngrams inside the input string, where ngram is equal to 1, limit to 1. Yeah, so this feels right. So I'm going to set some breakpoints here like I tend to do. And then I'm going to set my startup project. So I'm going to start up the server, and I'm going to start up my test harness here. And I have no idea how this is actually gonna work. I noticed that I'm missing something. I'm missing that start, right? Build map start. Yeah, I think I'm missing the start here. Um, so app. Oh, I guess we have the run, right? The run is actually what's starting everything. So we have the run async. I don't know if I should be using run async or not. I don't remember. There's like some weird rules around that, but YOLO, right? Let's see what happens. All right, so we should have two console applications that are up. All right, so the one on the top is our silo. We see everything that we should be seeing. We see everything that we should be seeing, and so that's good, right? Hey, that's really good. Record an open connection from this endpoint, so that's our client, and that's great. So this opens the connection. Ruben, this is like way easier than building my own client like I had to do previously. Um, and all that and like connecting, much cooler. So I got my grain factory, um, and my input is Apple. My grams is a array with one there. Um, yeah, I'm super happy, man. So input Apple is 1 gram, 1 grams. All right, so we got a reference to our grain. Oh, dude, and I'm totally loving this grain reference, like compared to the other stuff. Um, yeah, I hope the .NET 8 like just reads your mind. It's kind of where the team is heading. They're almost there. But this is like way easier than having like that huge like address deal that was there before. So I'm actually gonna I have a breakpoint set. So I'm gonna set a breakpoint on this console write line. So we're actually gonna break right into it. So we're in this on activate async and our get primary string here. Figured this was like the best way to do it, but like I really didn't expand. I don't know if you can actually see this. So let me, no, it doesn't actually like show toolbars. That's really strange. So by now my grain is probably timed out, but so what I wanted to see and show was, um, so we have this grain context thing here, and I wanted to see, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on here. So we have the activation ID, we have the full address, uh, and we have ngram apple. So I guess that's like type slash uh, the ID or something there. Anyway, grain instance, grain reference. Cool. Yeah, that's actually pretty awesome there. All right, so I got a Poco grain going on my first shot. So I've split it up. I've now got my array in memory of the different portions of it. Now I'm going to set a breakpoint here inside of, it's not letting me. That's kind of interesting here. Um, weird, but okay. So we're just, oh, I probably timed out. That's why. Yeah, that's why. Yeah. Could not find a codec for type ng Postgres exception. That makes sense because I have to like do one of those deals there. So I'm just not going to time out that this time. Let's try this again, but like without the timeout. So I'm going to remove my breakpoint from there, and I'm going to stop this, and I'm going to run it all again. This time I will not stay broke in a breakpoint for that long. So I'm going to come out of here. I'm going to put a breakpoint. I still can't put a breakpoint. Oh, because it's a const. That's why. So we're here, we're here, we're here, we're here. Postgres exception. Why does it hate me? Could not find a code. Yeah, that's good, but like, all right. This is what I don't know what to do, but what I'm actually going to kind of just cheat for right now is I'm just going to catch my exception here. X, we set a breakpoint here. So select one ngrams from this guy. That's the length. The length would be 1, so ngrams underscore 1, where ngram equals 1 here. My guess is that when I copied and pasted like how to do this ngp SQL thing, that I kind of screwed it up. So I'm just going to set the breakpoint right here, and we'll go here, and we'll actually, so I have my ngram cache. Oh, I don't even actually have it. Actually, I don't have it set up. Oh, yeah, I do. In my constructor, async lazy load and gram. So this won't actually execute, I think, until it's awaited for the first time. So let's see why Postgres hates us. All right, so we can remove that guy. So position 25, column n-gram does not exist. Oh, column n-gram does not exist. N-gram's 1. Yeah, that's real weird. I wonder if, let me pull that out. Ruben, I will say that the Silo startup speed, it's like super fast, and I guess that's a combination of .NET 7 and me having like 24 cores and 64 gigs of RAM. But like it's way faster than it was in .NET 6 when I was working on the web scheduler. Like it was painful, dude. Okay, so let's look at our command object. Let's see what's actually. Oh, it's gonna get faster. What? All right. Well, I guess with the people on the team, that's a given, I guess, right? Yeah. Shutdown does take a while sometimes. Okay, so our query is actually going to look like this, and our parameters are here. I wonder, so if I have that, and let me just go to this Postgres, what am I? It's probably something silly. Ah, I forgot my from, the same thing that I screwed that up on before. Okay, so from ngrams 1, where ngrams there. You can tell I don't write a lot of SQL by hand. I've been doing a lot of Go work where there's this library called Squirrel, um, and it like basically builds your SQL queries, um, and it's really cool actually for what it is. But it's not Entity Framework, I'll tell you that. All right. So did we find a row? We did not find a row, -1. So this, I think, execute non-query returns the number of rows that were impacted. So I don't know what -1 does, um, but it did. So rows found -1. So maybe there's a problem there. I don't know. Um, huh. All right, PG SQL. How are you? How are you doing me wrong today? So add with value, maybe I need to parameter name. Let's just try ngram, and let's just try this, right? If this is anything like the ADO stuff, maybe it's not $1, but if so, why did they have it? I don't know if it's like positional, no idea. Let's move that breakpoint too. All right, rows found 1. Yeah, that's real weird. So if I go to my watch window, and I wonder if it will let me do this again, cmd.execute reader or execute scalar. Do I at least get the 1 back? Yes, I do. And so that's cool. So execute non-query, -1. Let's look at some docs. Um, returns a task representing async operation with the number of rows affected, if known, -1 otherwise. But it's returning a single row. So that's really strange why it would give me -1, unless I'm not understanding what's happening here. Let's see. So execute non-query. Let's see what this actually returns. Why it returns a -1 here. So we're gonna go over here and we're gonna say ngp SQL returns -1. Does not return rows, it populates, and that's not what I need. Returns -1. Let's see, Stack Overflow. Yeah, so this like is not ngp SQL, but Oh, maybe that's only for writes. Maybe that's only for writes, and for reads, there's no rows affected. Uh, Hi, Sean NY. How are you? Okay, so let's just look at these basic things here. So I guess what I'll just do is, hi, Livy159. How are you? If any of y'all are NGP SQL people, please speak up. Feel free. Um, oh, this was always like a trick that I would use to get the row count. So execute SQL. Okay, typically insert, update, or delete statements returns number of rows affected. So that makes sense why we're getting a -1 because we're not modifying any rows. So we have a scalar value. So full result set. So I guess I have to do execute scalar. And then execute scalar. It's been so long since I've done this kind of stuff here. What do we got for options here? That's it. That's what we got. So execute scalar. So I'm gonna have to see what this actually does. So if rows found, so it gives me the first column in the row result set. Okay, so uh, row found, row found. So if there is a equals 1, so if it's found, it's going to be 1, and if I don't know what it returns if it's not. I'm kind of torn. Let's see, let's look at some of this here. So parameters, I don't want to return a count because I don't want it to actually count because I'm only limiting to 1 because I only care about is there one record that matches exactly. So okay, you only worked with Postgres. Okay. Well, what did you, Sean NY, Shawnee, I guess. What did you query Postgres with? So parameter, execute non-query. So this is just, see, they do a select here, but the select my function. So does that have side effects or something? I don't know. Bidirectional output. Yeah, I guess it does have an output maybe. Um, God, it's been too long since I've done this stuff by hand. All right, so I've got execute sailor, and let's see what type that is. And for now, let's just do an int. I wonder if this has like weird type stuff there. Something just made noise, and I don't know what it is. So I'm going to, I have no idea what that noise was. Only you got the name right. Yeah, it was SQL, was just all the basics, should teach us joins, etc. Oh, I got you, man. I'm sorry, I got you, Sean. Um, all right, so I don't know what that noise was, but okay, cool. Oh, I guess that's like a follow. I don't know. All right, so what do we got here? So yeah, so it is. Thank you. Yeah, this is actually my first ever like stream where actually people showed up. So let's just see what this actually is under the hood. So it's an int32. All right, so that's great. So this is actually going to work for the positive case. So we're going to try a negative case here, right? So does it exist? True. And we got our, where is the other? Did that exit? Yeah, that exited. So I'm just going to do console.readline. Yeah, that's my cheap one there. All right, so I'm gonna stop that, and I'm just gonna do something that should not exist at all, right? Should not be a 1 gram at all. And let's see what it actually returns. It should be null. Like I'm hoping it's null. Null, yes! And it's not one of those crazy DB nulls either. Because I hate DB nulls. Like, Yeah, I guess null, it's not like one of those fake nulls, right? So, so I guess what I'm gonna do is, so I need to return Boolean. So if the row found is null, we're gonna do, if it's null, we're gonna return false. Otherwise, we're going to return true. Is that gonna work? I also haven't written C# in a very long time. I've been writing a lot of Go at work. Object to bool. All right, so object to bool. Yeah, so let's fix this. Is null, then false, and this. Okay, so that should actually work. Where's the other console window? Here it is. Okay, input is 1 gram and input was not found. All right, that's actually really cool. It kind of worked. It's actually, it did work, but um, I'm just super excited that that kind of worked almost on the first shot. Um, so, all right. So now let's try something a little harder. So I'm going to actually commit this. Um, and let's see. Yeah, that looks right. Oh, and I don't have a branch. So new branch. Uh, initial, yeah, not initial. 1 grams. And bring it forward. And we're going to do initial exists 4 grams. All right. So that's great. So we have like 1 grams and stuff like that. And let's try and up the ante a little bit. Oh, you know what I should do? And I wish um, Rich was on here because I've been dying to see the Orleans dashboard because he like totally killed the 3x branch. Like I wish he didn't because there's still a million of us on it. But I understand he's just one dude and he can't really, he doesn't have the time. He's busy. He's got a day job. So let's see, where's Nuggets? Nuggets, Nuggets, manage Nuggets. I keep forgetting that you folks can't see on this other side here. So dependencies, manage nuggets. So Orleans dashboard. Look at that. I already have an update for something. Orleans dashboard 7. And I have no clue what I have to do now, but I hear it's easier because what I want to see is the number of grains. For those of you that don't know, the Orleans dashboard is basically a cool kind of like, I want to say it's an observability tool, but based on some conversations, like it sounds like a lot of people want to see some little more control going in there. So basically, you see everything that's going on in your Orleans cluster on your silos and stuff like that. So installation, host builder, use Orleans, configure parts. Okay, so, oh, that's it. Hey, hey, hey. Do I even want to do it as middleware? Yeah. Okay. All right. Because middleware didn't really work well in the old version. So let's give it a shot. All right. So we've got to go here. So we're gonna go configure application parts. Now, Ruben, if I remember, I don't have to do application parts anymore. I thought that kind of stuff got removed. So like, what's this about? Do you know? Is this like just like the old README? I don't know. He might have it built on. something else. Orleans dashboard. Where's the CS Proj? Yeah, he probably just has like an old runtime 7. No, he's on this. Okay, he probably just missed the README. All right, not a problem. Not a problem. And then I should just be able, let's pray that this one works, huh? All right, so start the silo. Please note, register service, configure application, self-hosted dashboard. So use dashboard x.self-host. And we have our app, and we're gonna, let's map it here. Yeah, dashboard. Use Orleans dashboard. And do I have to do anything? So we don't have these anymore, right? We don't have the telemetry consumers because we're using counters, or do we still have them and they just like spit out counters? I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, he just we just need to update the README. I'll I'll talk. I don't know what it's like supposed to be, but we will. I'll talk to him about it and I'll see like what needs to change or rather be updated. I'm sure like there's parity functionally on some of these items. Um, but let's see, dashboard. Oh shit, that worked. Yeah, when I was doing the 3x one, um, I uh, I was having a rough time there. I was having like a real rough time trying to get it to be in the self-hosted one. Is it self-hosted? I always confuse the two. Yeah, the host self. It was like really hard, and I went through the same thing with integrating like Prometheus.net and everything. .NET counters, monitor counters. Okay, I see that. Um, Okay, so we got this going on. Oh, he added that. That's so awesome. So let's actually, so we have our thing here. So we should be able to do ngram, gram ID. What did we do? Apple? Or oh, we left this like crazy one here. He did add this. This is awesome. This was like a really, because like the question was always like, what's going on? So there's no grain state in this. That's the other thing. We don't actually have a grain state here. So um that's really interesting here. All right. So let's upgrade this a little bit here. So let's actually give it a grain state, and we're not going to actually persist it right now. So we're going to inject I persist. Wait, yeah, I persistent state, and let's just do public record ngram state string gram uh, yeah, string ngram, and then bool exists, and let's see if this works. So we're going to do this, and then don't have to like decorate it too. Persistent state, and then state name. This is going to be ngram. Yeah, ngrams. All right, and if I don't set storage names, it uses default, right? And so I'm going to go over here. I'm going to modify our silo to use our. Oh, somebody else, whoever followed, I have to figure out how to do those widgets and stuff because that's cool. Like I don't know how to do that. But yeah, I don't know exactly how to do that. So I'm just gonna like not mess with that right now. Maybe, maybe donation, follower, goal, chat box, viewer count, credits, chat highlight, custom widget, game widget, poll, media share, sponsor banner. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I'll play with that later. All right. So I'm gonna do what is it? Add default, add memory storage grain as default here. So that should be good. Um, we're just going to call it state, and we're going to pump this one into a field. And when we're inside of here, we're actually just, oh, what does this want me to do now? Simplify a conditional expression. Oh, yeah, sure. Okay. Um, so what we're going to do is we're going to say, we're going to modify this, and we're going to say this dot state dot state. This is like a weird thing. I know you and I, Ruben, have spoken about this before, like state dot state, like, so exists. And we're just going to return, um, we're just going to do this. And Boolean. So this returns a Boolean. So why is this? Oh, yeah, because I can't do that. Huh. Um, yeah, so we got to assign it there, and then we're going to return it there. State. Oh, yeah, I can't use that because it's immutable. Ha ha ha. So I could just do this, right? So with, I always forget, with, oops, come on, Copilot, I saw you. Hey, yeah, look at that. Finally, proving your $100 worth that I got billed for today. So we're gonna do that, and does he need a semicolon? Yeah, he does. And then this dot state does state exists. Only assignments, blah, 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 can be used as a statement. Oh, equals with, yeah, I have to do this, right? Yeah, 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 yeah. All right, so we got that guy. So we have a grain state, and I'm hoping it shows up in the dashboard because that'd be kind of cool. Um, cannot dynamically create and no parameters. So I guess records are a bad idea, huh? Generate constructor exists. Wait, what just happened? What did it just do? No idea what this guy just did. Generate constructor. Oh, here we go. All right. Yeah, but that's like kind of weird. And okay, you know what? Here we go. I wonder if there's a convert to class. No, because this isn't ReSharper. All right, so class. I'm open to feedback. Anybody who wants to jump in. Ngram state, and we're gonna go here. We're gonna go here, and we're gonna go CTOR, and we're gonna go here. So I'm gonna make this a. I wonder if this will work with a private constructor. Maybe, maybe. And then public ngram state. I guess we really don't need that. Prop string. What was it? It was Boolean, right? Yeah, bool. Um, public bool my exists. All right, and we're gonna have a default constructor by default. Doesn't matter right now. We're gonna leave that for public for right now, and I just want to see this thing work, right? It's no longer immutable, so we're just gonna go. Yeah, that would make sense. Why would you have state be immutable, right? Yeah, I should have slept more. Yeah, dot exists, and so we've got this. And let's see. Oh, we did catch an exception though. Activation violation, non-activation thread attempted to access activation services. Ooh. So our load ngram gets called when the lazy is called, which is not in the constructor, right? Because if we look at our call stack, yeah, so this proves we're coming from exists. So where is this actually coming from? Oh, yeah, this is coming from .next .threading, and I don't know. It's a cool library that has some really cool stuff that I guess they want to fit into the framework or something um, at some point. But it lives in the .NET org. So um, activation runtime non-activation thread attempted to access activation services. This should run on the default like this should run on the Orleans scheduler, right? Should I be running this on the not the Orleans scheduler? Should I be running this on um, the task schedule pool, the schedule task scheduler pool? Orleans docs.orleans. Let's see, code samples, implementation details. I'll never find it. Design principles, student jobs, code samples, no. Streaming, grains, request content, request scheduling. Maybe it's at the bottom of here. I'm looking for that section that um, talks about the do's and don'ts, like things you should not do, and things that you like don't do, like dot result or something. It uses task run, so it does not use the scheduler. Okay, but does this need to? Does that need to not run on the scheduler? Let's see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is true. Um, all right. So I guess what I need to do is actually not access state in here. I guess that's my rule, right? So this is actually going to come into here and having the callback jump back to the scheduler. Yeah, using you can fix it by having the callback jump back on the scheduler using task factory start new on a captured reference to the grain scheduler. Like within this like over here, because I was just gonna take it and go over here and just like sidestep the whole thing and just do like this state dot exists equals and initialize what the state. The state should be initialized, right? Because I'm past this. I've already called the exist RPC. I'd have to initialize an oh, versus up here, you're saying? Right. Initialize it or like initialize it like I'm doing here when I instantiate the async lazy. which I don't think does actually anything, right? It just like sets it up. Or are you saying that I should run in, since a grain is single threaded, I think you just don't need async lazy. That's probably true. And I prefaced all this with like, I only wanted this to run once, and I only want it to run if somebody calls exist, right? Um, yeah, I think you're right there. Let's simplify this, because yeah, I gotcha. I gotcha. I gotcha. I gotcha. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Um, simplify, simplify, simplify. All right, so this is actually just going to call this, and I'm just going to call load ngrams from here. Oops. So get rid of that guy, get rid of this guy, and then call. All right, see you, Ruben. Thank you. Yeah, I gotcha. Thank you. All right, so we're gonna instantiate over here. So load ngram token, and we're going to go over here, and we're gonna load that up over here. And what, buddy? Oh, Daddy's doing stuff for work right now. You want to say hi? Wave. No, I'm not holding the lollipop. That's all sticky. I'll be done. Take it with you. No, I don't want to get sticky. Here, put it on this. Yeah, put on that. Take it with you. All right. So we're gonna async task that guy right there. Load here, and then we're gonna do this dot state, which I hate, dot exist equals that, and load ngram. So this dot, and we're gonna go down here. We no longer need that. We're gonna have this. This is gonna be great. We could actually, we don't actually need to do anything. So we could just load it right here. And we can actually now modify state in here. Haha, that's pretty awesome. So we can actually do that there. And now this just turns into this. And this is now no longer async. It's now a task.from result. And so that's always going to be true or false. There we go. And now let's see if this actually works. All right. So yeah, so you see it worked here. It's 1 gram, and it was not found in the dictionary there in our entire set of ngrams. So let's actually now go to the dashboard, and let's go to grains, ngram, oh, grain details. And let's see, grain type. Let's take the string that we had for our inputs, and so that's our grain ID. Weird. Did I like get it right? I wonder if it has to be like persisted. maybe that reads the grain states that way instead of directly from the grain. That would make sense because it wouldn't have access to the in-memory grain state. So what would probably have to happen is this dot state dot write state async. So let's try that. Yeah, it probably reads it based on, I have to look at the code, but it probably reads the persisted grain state from the provider. Error from storage provider during write. Grange error equals Orleans codec not found. Could not find copier for. Oh, yeah, this is because of the new serializer, because we have to serialize stuff. So what we've got to do is we have to decorate. I hate that plugin, but it's made me so much like extra money just from spending money. So I'm just gonna when I click the extension, yeah, that's probably better too. All right, so I should look at the samples. Device gateway, so GPS tracker. Let's look at common. Maybe there's models in there. So device message. Yeah, immutable generate serializer. So we have to generate the serializer there. Velocity message. Yeah, I have to add generate serializer, which it's kind of opt-in now. I guess is my understanding of the whole thing. So let's go over here and we will go back to here and I think we're also supposed to do like ID 1 or something. Yeah, ID 1. Kind of like gRPC kind of thing because you could rename stuff and you want it to match and stuff like that. So this like is this canonical thing. I think Ruben was talking about like adding some sort of deterministic way on um, how to determine like without the IDs, but I don't know if that ever got implemented or not. So let's try it again. I want to see that dashboard read my grain state. All right, so this is the input, which is 1 gram. And we're gonna go to our dashboard and we're gonna do grain details, select our grain type. No, come on, man. Oh man, I'm gonna have to like figure that one out. But like that's kind of weird, right? Um, oh, are we only writing the state if, so this is either gonna be true or false, and then we're writing the state over here. So let's try another one. Um, so like let's like make this a little bit more dynamic. I wonder what are the updates I have. Oh, look at that. Sure. Maybe they fixed the issue that I was running into with the async local. um, okay, so all right. So let's go to our program CS over here and let's do this. While true. Yeah, sure. Who doesn't love a good while true? And we're going to do this, and we're going to do our inputs are going to be like this. Input console read line, and what is this guy saying? So input may be null. If input is null, so instead of null, we're just going to use string dot is null or empty or white space, which also checks for null. Funny enough, I didn't learn that until like a while ago, until Microsoft made it easier for us to like step through and like just drill down into the runtime and debug their code by just disabling like the just my code option. So we're just going to continue here. If we hit a blank one, right? So we're going to do console.writeLine. So we're going to do console.write input, enter an n-gram. So we're going to do that. We're going to read the line. And then what we're going to do, if it's empty, we're going to write invalid entry, and we're going to continue and go around. Yeah, so console.color. Yeah, let's make that red. And then we're just going to do, so var original color equals foreground, because people might have like different stuff going on, like in their settings. So we want to save that and keep it accessible to them. I think that's how you're supposed to do it. It's been so long. Anyway, I think that this should work. And what we're going to do is we're going to our dashboard. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm also going to switch to dark mode, and I'm going to hide the dashboard and system grains, so it just shows our things. The exception is like the request per second, I think. So we're going to put that there, and we're going to actually see some stuff. So we're going to enter an n-gram. So apple is 1 gram. All right. So we are, I'm just sending the link to my stream to somebody. All right, so we've got that, and you'll see on the bottom here, we've got, it's really hard for me to see what's happening here. I wonder like how I make this bigger. I just don't know. Like, yeah, I just don't know. So when someone follow, like, okay, okay, so let's close that. I don't know. So I have my monitor here. Automatic capture method. Let's see how this, like, I guess automatic is the best way to do it. I don't know why it doesn't like capture like the entire thing. Maybe it's because my whole stream is like some max or something. Oh, I probably only did like 1080p stream versus 4K stream. So anyway, we'll see right here. You'll see the number of activations go up here. So we're gonna say dog, cat. What are some other ones? So you see like they're coming up over here. It's actually pretty cool. So you'll see the exist method getting called and where it's running and stuff like that. And let's select a green type. Let's see if we can see dog. No state. Like, I don't know what's going on here. I have to like investigate that. But like, this is really cool, right? And it's super, super fast. Now, we don't have like multiple n-grams, so it's not going to be found. But if we were to do, let's see, 3.124, 3.14 was found. All right, that's pretty awesome. And hey, what's up? What's up? So a grain is, so this is virtual actor model. So a grain, think of a grain as an actor, and a silo is where grains live. That's a node in the cluster. So right now I only have the 1 gram set up. By the way, Wesson is him and I have been talking about this a while, and he's doing an implementation in Go, and I'm doing mine as like a distributed implementation. So like what I have so far, what we've done during the stream is we've set up logic. So we wrote a console application that just allows you to enter like n-grams. So you can do like so Elon was found, right? And oh, look, it's red. How cool is that? I love that. Anyway, so the grain is actually loaded. This is a cluster of one right now. So let me show you here. So we've got 6 total grains active in the cluster, and there's only one silo. So this can go to like thousands of nodes here. And there's 6 activations. So grains are activated, they're loaded into memory. So if we like drill down, you can see like, well, I have to talk to Rich, the guy who wrote this, to see what's going on here, what I'm missing configuration wise here. But yeah, so we've got an n-gram grain, so an actor that knows about n-grams and how to read them, and it's going to be wicked fast. Like you'll see how fast this is actually going. So if I do Apple, so Apple was found already. So if I just do Apple, keep doing Apple, keep doing Apple, um, the latency is 0.03 milliseconds per request, and this is local machine. Um, in the same data center, you should expect to see around like 6 milliseconds in like a good data center. So this was one, I don't know, give me a word, man. Grain. This is one that I haven't looked up. See how 8 went there, but I'm going to type grain again, so it's in memory. So Apple dog doesn't exist because I don't have the 2 grams, the bigrams in there. So the tables, let me show you. Oops. So the tables look like this. Um, so like, so I'm using like table inheritance. So this is like the template table that they'll n-gram, year, match count, volume count. So if I were to do this, so this is effectively the query we're doing. And so to bring back all the columns, it took 254 milliseconds there, but we've got Apple 1756, 41, 60. Oh, the bottom of the tree. Oh, because I don't know how to like, hold on, let me, is that better? So you'll see that this, the second time, right, it's 140 milliseconds, but if we were to just bring back the constant one, it drops it almost in half. And if we do like another one that hasn't been hit, like cool. So 74 milliseconds, because we're not actually bringing back the data, we're just checking for existence, right? And we're limiting it to 1, because if we weren't limiting it, it would look like this, and we don't need to bring back 367 rows. But here's what that data looks like straight out of, this is the complete set for all the 1 grams. Yeah, match and volume. I have to fully understand what exactly they mean, but like the way I kind of interpret it is out of the books in the corpus that they have for the Google Ngram data set in 1590, the books that were from 1590, exactly, hashtagging like it's 1524, bro. All right. So then the match count, somebody uses the word cool, I guess 69 times, but I don't understand what volume means. I think it's like a relative thing to like other words of the time. But like if we go all the way down, so in 2008, cool was used 592,000 times, and the volume count, I still don't know what that means. But the idea is like, so this query took 750 milliseconds. We do 1, right? It cuts that in a large piece, and then we limit to 1 because we only care about its existence, and it cuts it to like basically nothing, right? And what happens is, and I'll show you the code here. So you notice the activations there. So it's 1 activation per per one. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that one was not. Let's see. Here's a fun. 8675309 was found. 8675309 was not found. So Jenny's phone number is in 1 gram. Can you do a select count distinct n-gram? Yeah, it'll probably take a while, but let's see. Because distinct, I don't know. Let's see. So how do I do analyze? How do you do an analyze query? Analyze query. I don't remember how to do that, but analyze explain. Okay, so scan index scan on ingress costs rows, so it's scanning that. Cool. Text. Okay. Now you wanted to do a count. How do I do it here? So is it distinct? Distinct n-gram? Oh, I filtered. Um, yeah, so I filtered. So let me here, rows. 1.3 billion? Is it 1, 2, 3? Yeah, 1.3 billion. So there's 1.3 billion rows in this table. Well, yeah, 1.3 billion. So I don't know how long that's going to take, but it's the entire. There are counts available on the ngram site, and this is also going to count parts of speech and stuff like that as well. Like when they have stuff like cool underscore adjective, right, with the tagged parts of speech kind of thing as the suffix. So that's going to take a while. So I'm going to put that over there. So anyway, that's kind of like how that works, right? So this is just going to is there an index on that column? Actually, not sure if sequence scan means it's doing linear plus in-memory aggregation. I don't know either. This is my first time ever using Postgres. But I do have an index, and the index that I have here is, I guess I could just hit this, right? The index is, it's a hash type index on ngram. So that's what it is. So from my reading, this seems to be the best type for this type of query, the best type of index used for this type of query. Because we really don't need B-tree, I don't think, for this, because we're going to be querying based on the hash. And maybe there's a way to do like a covering index based on the hash type index. Not sure if that helps the select count distinct, but yeah, but I don't have to do select count distinct. There's like, I don't have a use case for that. Yeah, I just don't have a use case for that. But anyway, so let me show you what the implementation looks like, dude. All right. So our grain looks like this. The use case of curiosity. All right. Well, the index is already like 70 or like 40 gigs, and the data files are like 70 or 80 gigs. So anyway, so yeah, it's really straightforward. Right now, when think of this as like a constructor. So when I'm over here, I am basically just calling grain factory.getGrain of this type, and that interface just looks like has an exist function, and the ID of the in the n-gram grain is the input value, is your n-gram. Um, can you move yourself to the right of the editor? Yeah, I think so. Let's see. Let's see. Layout editor. Nope. Editor. Um, studio mode. Layout editor. Studio mode. That work? That work? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. That's a good idea. It's a really good idea. Um, all right. So, um, okay. Sorry, this is my first time ever doing this. Like ever using like um, these like these tools, like this whole thing. It's actually kind of interesting, like having to be an editor and like everything else at the same time. Um, it's I don't know, it's kind of cool, interesting, totally interesting. Like I'm looking at this now, like you can have a viewer count, and I could put this viewer count right here and put this right here, and then I just click transition, and you see I have like a viewer count there. Nobody's watching me on YouTube, so that's unfortunate. But it only shows, oh, YouTube. Oh, I'm only streaming to Twitch, so like that makes a lot of sense. Um, so close. See that? Three people are watching me on Twitch. This is cool. Like I've never done this before, so that's like super cool. Um, and it's like layered and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I think it's cool, but you know, I'm weird like that. Whoa, transition. All right, so I'll remove viewer count. All right, transition. All right, so yeah. All right. All right. So what we're doing here is we're just taking the input, this like standard like read line stuff. And no, I don't have a green screen. I'm using something called XSplit VCam, which like does it for me. It's way better. It feels like I have a green screen. So like this is really awesome. I'm probably gonna do this for like my meetings at work. I no longer have to buy that green screen I was telling you about. Um, and how's the audio, by the way? This headset's like a cheap headset. Okay, cool. All right, so we get the grain, which just gives us an instance, and our input, our ngram is it. This is the client application. Then we call we call the asynchronous call exists, which is effectively a message passing RPC call. We get our value back, which is a Boolean, and then we're just writing the input that you entered in, right? Basically, interpolation, string interpolation here, and then we're saying if the n-gram doesn't exist, we found it, we didn't find it. So that's what we're doing there, right? So I'm gonna I'm gonna checkpoint this while I'm here, and we're gonna say n-gram search is working from client app. And we also added Orleans dashboard, which I need to talk to Rich Arama about it. Um, and I don't know where it is, but it's probably in my bookshelf. But he wrote, oh, here it is. So my buddy Rich wrote this book, Microsoft Orleans for Developers. Go buy it. It's awesome. It's by Richard Astbury, Astbury. It's a small, quick read. Orleans is pretty straightforward, and you really only need a book this thick because it's elegant. And you should all buy his book. Tell him I sent you. All right. So that's what the client side looks like, right? Now, on the server side, the grain side. So on the grain side, oh, what was that? What was that? I don't know what that noise was. I'm still trying to figure out what all these noises mean. Still trying to figure out what all these noises mean. No idea. No idea. Oh, that was you following me. Haha. I have to figure that all out. Um, all right. So I have this grain here, and so I'm just doing some injection here, some constructor and OBS. I'm using Streamlabs Desktop right now. I'm trying that. So anyway, just doing some injection here for some dependencies and stuff like that. And what I do, you can think of this as like a constructor for the grain itself. So the Orleans runtime. So this is the regular .NET constructor, which is called when the ngram grain class is instantiated, and then the on activate async when the grain is activated. So there's like a whole life cycle for Orleans grains. So you can actually see the Orleans life cycle. Um, and this does not really tell you clearly. Grains, develop grains, quick starts. Yeah, it's here somewhere. Like it's totally here somewhere. Oh, here it is. All right. So a grain is made up of an identity plus a behavior plus a state. That state can be in memory or persisted, right? And the behavior is the code you write. The identity is, in our case, it's the ngram. That's the identity, right? Um, so what happens is when it starts, when we call it, if the grain hasn't been activated before, it gets activated. It's then active in memory, which is what we see in that dashboard that I showed once it's called for the first time. And it only hits the database once because the rest of the time it stays in memory, which means that ngrams that are hot, used frequently, they stay in memory, and they'll get evenly, well, not evenly necessarily, but they'll get distributed across the cluster, and you don't need to worry about scheduling. You don't need to worry about locating. This isn't like Akka where you need to like have supervisor chains and stuff like that. And then once your grain is done, let's say it hasn't been used in a while, the runtime Orleans runtime will actually unload it for you. It's called deactivation. But that only happens if it hasn't received an RPC call in a while, right? And then of course, like there's persisted, right? Persisting the state. So a silo is a node in a cluster. So silo contains many grains. Silos talk to each other. They collaborate. They coordinate, and things like that. Yeah, so you can do a lot of stuff. So Orleans is actually used to power. I actually have on my blog here when I talk about the web scheduler project I put together. Um, so with Orleans, I have a short history of Orleans here. So Orleans it started in Microsoft Research in 2008, and it was quickly moved to the Xbox organization where it lived most of its life. It's been used for games such as Halo, uh, Gears of War, etc. It's also being used by a number of internal teams at Microsoft to build Azure ML. So Azure ML, Azure IoT, Digital Twins, Microsoft Mesh, Azure Quantum, Microsoft Dynamics 365 fraud protection, Azure PlayFab, which is part of Xbox, just to name a few, are actually using Orleans in production. Um, Orleans is also being used in more places at Microsoft that aren't really like publicly disclosed, other than the whole we are using it for various things. So this video, I think, is
All right, well, let's get into
all
it.
about
Hi, folks. I'm Ruben.
Orleans at Microsoft. So I'll leave that there. I can't type there, but I can type here. All right. Um, so like that video talks about how they use Orleans at Microsoft. Um, and more recently, though, Orleans has moved into the Microsoft Development Division, also known as DevDiv. So that's the part of Microsoft that builds developer tooling, languages and frameworks, and some cloud services. So Orleans is now part of the .NET team, and the people that work on .NET uh, work on Orleans too. And yeah, no, I don't work at Microsoft yet. No, I work at DigitalOcean. I'm very happy at DigitalOcean. I'm having a lot of fun there. But I love Orleans. So Orleans is actually one of the first, if not the first, open source project that Microsoft ever open sourced back in 2015, I think it was. And it's got this vibrant community that spans 7 years of open source. And this thing has been battle tested since 2008 to power like crazy things. So anyway, um, there's a little bit of the history of Orleans. So anyway, so the on activate async, that's you can think of it as like once the grain is activated, this is like the code that gets started once it's in memory. And so the right now I'm getting the key string, the primary key, which is in our case, the n-gram string value that's passed in. And I'm splitting it based on a delimiter, like a space right now, just naively doing it on a space. Obviously, we'd want to do it like on underscores and, stuff like that, right? So like, I think I can actually just go like this. And I think that will actually, yeah. And that will like do underscores, I think. Char separator, int count, char separator, so new, and char. All right. Yeah, so now this will like just split it based on these two characters here. Format document. There you go. So that'll do that there. And I should probably do that to the client as well. So we have some parity there. And so now it'll recognize delimiters as that, right? All right. So then we load the n-gram. So loading the n-gram inside the onActivate extinct, what that's actually doing now is just some naive, and this is like thrown together. This isn't the right way to do this because we would probably quickly run into like connection exhaustion. But this was just like a quick way. Hey, is this thing going to work the way I think it is? So like we would do like connection pooling and PG bouncer and blah blah blah, all that stuff you're supposed to be doing. We'd probably put in a circuit breaker uh, in there so that way, because these grains are concurrent. Like you can have thousands of lookups happening concurrently, and when you have that happening, you're going to end up with 1,000 connections to your database at the same time. So you're going to want to put in like circuit breakers and rate limits and stuff like that, and pooling for the connections at the client level as well as PG bouncer as well. Just many layers. Like these are not unsolvable problems and stuff like that. Um, yeah, so, and then we're setting the state to say it exists if a row is found. Remember, we're returning the constant one because this is a more efficient query than trying to bring back any data. We're just bringing back this literal. And then if this returns execute scalar, returns null if there's no record, and it will return the constant literal one. I guess the literal value one if it is. So if it's not null and it's this, then it's not found and it will be false here. So this, when you call exist the first time, well, whenever you call exist, it's already just reading from memory and it's going to stay in memory the whole time. So if we were to so now let's take it a step further. All right, so let's put this here and let's just amend this because all I did was add the char stuff, the space, split on space and that. So let's just amend that. And now let's take a look at this. So I have, all right, so I've got this. So I've got these ones here. So I want to bring in, so I want to bring in 2 grams fixed. So these scripts, like, download them and prep them a little bit. What I noticed is in the official ngram tab separated value ones, they don't escape anything. So, like, yeah, they don't escape anything, right? Um, so I've been running like CSV formatter to rewrite these files, which probably isn't the best idea. Um, I probably should actually just keep it as is, but this is where I'm at right now. So, all right, so what I want to do is I want to change the files. So this is going to be the 0 fixed, and this is going to be, so 0 fixed. So when it's done, we'll know it's done, because if this import's successful, we're going to, uh, excuse me, we're going to delete the file. So it's kind of like almost like transactional, right? So we're going to import it into ngrams2 table here, because these are 2 grams, right? And let's see. Let's see. So we can then look at PG admin. I wish it showed progress, but um, so we should see some stuff happening here, but this is probably going to be like it is transactional, I think. So, and Postgres, I don't think supports dirty reads. Yeah, they don't support dirty reads at all. I don't think that you could do dirty reads. So we just kind of like have to wait, and you'll see, like, here is the PG SQL kind of bringing it in here. Um, so I'm curious to see how big that file is. LS, where did I put it? Uh, ngrams, ngrams. So, like, just those numbers. So just the 2 grams of ones that start with 0, right? Um, is huge. Like, the ones that start with the number 1 is 19 gigs, dude. That's huge. It's freaking huge. So it's like really huge. It's like really, really huge. So anyway, um yeah, so that's what's kind of happening there. And we can actually see, like, I really wish there's a way to see progress. But you can see that